Uh-huh. Well, who do we got in there so far?
Um, I don't know. Oh, Johnny Ranch.
Oh,
Hacks for the
yeah, glad you made
Homesteader.
it, buddy.
Emily's here. Oh,
You got to
now
turn
we're
that.
playing our volume.
Okay. So let me
Yep.
pull this thing in just a tad bit closer. Yeah, a little bit more. All right, y'all.
Yeah. So, yep, we got Johnny Ranch, Hacks for the Homesteader.
Oh,
Emily.
Darren, what's up? And Patty.
Yep.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
So, is there an echo, guys? We kind of switched up the area because it's freezing outside, so we're inside. Hopefully, there isn't an echo. Somebody could let us know. I'd appreciate it. Kenneth Sword.
Yeah, hey, make sure y'all hit that thumbs up on the way in. I don't even know how to read this thing, man. I see thumbs. I see. Okay, I guess some people are jumping on.
Justin said, "Is that my bedroom?"
Yeah.
Oh, there's no echo. Cool. Thank
Yeah,
you, guys.
this is Justin's bedroom. That's right. That's right.
Oh,
Wish
man.
it seems weird doing this without him here now.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. It's
Well,
always
he's just right down the road.
Yeah, no, it's always Justin, come on over. Bring the baby with you because I got ripped off the other day. Justin rolled by, came to pick up something. And Michelle, I was working up at the house. I was getting the pig food squared away. Justin rolls up, and Michelle and William come up to the house to get this package he's after. And then when they come up there, I said, "Has he got the baby with him?" His youngest daughter, she's like the sweetest little thing. Both of them are sweet as can be, but she's like the cuddliest little, I call her little koala bear. And I said, "Is the baby with him?" They said, "I don't think so." They go back down, and I see William holding Charlotte, and I'm like, dude, I felt like I totally got ripped off. I'm like, oh man, I miss my koala bear hugs.
Oh man, yeah. There's a lot of people. A lot of people on. I guess some people saw that latest video we put out.
Yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop because honestly, I was thinking, honestly, when we did that video, we were thinking, okay, we're probably going to lose about half our subscribers because, people like to be offended these days. So I mean, honestly, that's probably our most popular video ever.
Yeah, I think it had almost 900 views in the first 3 hours, which doesn't really happen for us. Usually, it's like 100 per hour for the first
Right.
like
We're
4
showing
or
people
5
how to
hours.
we're showing people how to butcher pigs, cows, sheep, chickens, you name it. No,
Yeah.
everybody wants to know about how to deal with code people.
But when you get to some transgender sheep,
It's all over, y'all.
a cow in transition. Oh man.
Yeah, there was that one part with the cow though. I was telling him, I wish I'd have got that metal pail and filled it up with some milk. That might have been over the top though.
Oh man.
I kind of figured we were going to lose a bunch of subscribers anyway, but which ain't really the reason we do this.
No.
So who do we give our shout outs to, son?
Oh yeah, our Patreon shoutouts go to Tracy Rader and Glenn Sargent. They're called the Pimp Patrons, which
That's
is
right.
the top tier on our
Patreon.
Patreon page.
That's right.
So this is part of that. Is you get
And we thank everybody that's on
Yeah.
there anyway. So yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes. Justin said he's got his fire hose pants on,
That's what I got on.
and Scott from Johnny Ranch has those too. Emily wants to know where your hat is. I've got mine on. She wants to know where yours
I was
is.
wearing it in the video.
Yeah, that thing is goofy looking.
Emily is William's fiance.
Well, Dad. I'm
What?
not supposed to say that yet.
I thought you already said it before on here.
I don't
You already
think
did it
so.
on. Yeah, everybody knows. Yeah. I think
Well.
Emily. Well, if they don't, you do now. So
There was
Yeah.
supposed to be a reveal with the video, but okay, never
just
mind.
pretend you didn't just see that. But I thought we did all that beforehand.
Yeah, we can't edit out live streams. So earlier, was it today on Instagram, and I did a YouTube post. We asked people if they had like questions, if there are any specific questions that they want answered, and Jessica just recently did a spoon commission piece for her. She wants to know if there's any tips on worm farming. And two things popped into my head: the passive kind and the active kind. Passive worm farming is just putting down cardboard and mulch over the top of it, and worms will just appear. So there's that, and then also the active worm farming, where you have your worm bins, your wrigglers. They're hard to say. Red wrigglers.
Wigglers.
Wrigglers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Red wrigglers.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have them in a basically a bin of some sort. There's a bunch of different types of bins, and yeah, when I was at Jeff Lawton's farm, it was a very easy method. He used old bathtubs, put the drain side on the downhill side. He'd fill it 50% with the last worm bin's castings, and then the top 50% with cow and horse manure. And then daily we would just add food scraps to the top of that, and then also about a half a gallon a bucket of water through there. And then what soaks through, or not half a gallon, half of a 5 gallon bucket in there. And then what soaks through and drains through is just worm juice. And you can dilute that up to 20 times. And you can, I mean, there's some dude on YouTube who traded like a 5 gallon bucket of it for an iPhone. So the stuff is pretty valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I like that passive part though, because every time we put some down, like anytime we do a food forest or whatever, we use tons of cardboard. You go back there, y'all, you can tell just how alive your soil is based on how quickly that cardboard goes away. And it eventually becomes like super highways for worms. And yeah, you can't beat it.
not interested, just asked. He wants to know where he can find a genderless rooster.
Honestly, hey y'all, I really didn't expect that video to blow up like it did.
That's up to the rooster.
Yeah, yeah, you got to ask her or him. Yeah, so the rooster, Darren, my buddy from Hacks from the Homestead, we've been friends, his family and ours for the longest time. Um, you know, he got a kick out of it too, and I knew he would because there's so many people I know of, us included, that if you came from any environment like that, you know what it's like dealing with this sort of thing. But honestly, we didn't. There was something just irking at me because over and over and over again, I kept hearing these problems, people asking and all this stuff. So I was glad to do it, but also it kind of spurred me into some other things that, honestly, there's things on my bucket list, folks, that ain't on nobody else's, I guarantee you. And some of those things are going to probably manifest themselves in some future videos. Some of them having it, that's my foot, son.
Oh.
Yeah. Some of them having to do with some of the videos I wanted to do regarding some of the social things, like some of the homeless people I see on the streets, some of the experiments that I've been wanting for years to do with some of those people. I know that sounds crazy, but trust me, y'all, if I pull it off, you're gonna dig it, I guarantee it.
There's a another guy. He's wanting to know. He just moved to Denison, Texas, and he wants to know if he should focus more on planting a windbreak of trees, or planting a fruit tree and overstory system. Which one should he focus on first? The fruit trees and overstory, or the windbreak?
Well, okay, before we moved here in Texas, that's where I worked actually. We lived in a little town called DeKalb, but 2.5 hours away, I was actually working during the week, and sometimes I wouldn't get home, but maybe once a month, working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And it was in Denison and in Sherman, which is right next to it. Might as well. It seems like the same town in many ways. Anyway, I know the environment very, very well. You don't have to separate the two. You can do it all right there. And also, if anybody's interested, check out Denison. There was an old boy back in the day that actually saved the wine industry in all of France.
Munchin or
Munson, something like that.
Yeah.
That dude out of Denison basically saved. There would be no wine in France if it weren't for this guy. Extraordinary story. And basically, in a nutshell, the French couldn't figure out how to, keep the blight from wiping out their grapes. This old boy down in Texas figured out how to do it. The French put out the clarion call to everybody. And this is that kind of history I love, y'all. And basically, he solved the problem for them, kept their wine industry intact.
The question.
Yeah, I'm answering the question, son. But hey, you gotta, in a nutshell, this old boy figured it out. And guess what? The French stiffed him. Never did pay him for figuring out how to save their grape industry.
So I would focus on the fruit trees
I already answered the
first.
question.
I would focus on the fruit trees first. You're not going to plant a windbreak that's going to stop a tornado. Um, I would just focus on fruit trees and getting an overstory
Like I
and your
said from the
gills and
get-go.
stuff.
Yep.
Anyway,
Same thing I said from the word go.
Prepper79, he said, I saw your video about EMP shields. If you had to pick a vehicle or a home model to buy first, what would it be and why?
Man, that is a really, really great question. Folks, I mean, a lot of people hit me up on that even privately regarding EMP Shield. And like I said, we have not endorsed a single product ever on this, and it's not for lack of trying. They didn't seek us out. We sought them out. And as a journeyman electrician, having done this stuff for more than a quarter of a century now, look, I've installed a lot of transient voltage surge suppressors, things of that nature, all those things. I put all that stuff in, and not once have I seen anybody that had anywhere near the guarantee or quality that they were going for. Just so happens I happen to know one person that was working there, and when I found out, man, this stuff is really accessible, it's cheap. I've installed them all over the places in car plants and data centers, you name it. And basically, EMP Shield is the only thing I'm ever going to go to. Now, people were asking, well, is it going to do you much good if it happens while you're away? Well, for me, everybody's plan is different. And for me, no matter the calamity, should it unfold, my goal is to get home. I don't need to drive across country, hopefully, if I'm not in that kind of position. So you're always going to have to figure out which one works best for you. If you're a person that spends most of their time at home, first of all, I wouldn't mess around. I'd get it all of the above. I mean, and if you're looking for a link on how to do that, you can check it out. Either we got a link at our website and also in our videos.
Yeah, our every video description lately has the EMP shield, and I think they get $50 off, right?
Yeah, you get $50 off. But honestly, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. But for me, I would, in today's day and age, if for no other reason, if you live in a place like we did near Denison, Texas, honestly, lightning is your number one concern. I mean, through the spring, you have storms that will rattle your teeth. And guess what? They guarantee this thing. They give a guarantee nobody else gives when it comes to lightning protection and stuff like that. I think they cover it up to maybe $25,000 should it not do the job it's supposed to do.
On the same topic, the Hecker family homestead wants to know. They said I'm a little fuzzy on the why for the EMP shield. What do they do?
Well, it's a bunch of things. Number one, like I was saying a moment ago, the number one thing for my concern is lightning. That's my number one threat, depending on whom you ask. That's my number one concern. But if there is a coronal mass ejection or whatever the case may be, or let's just say it fries. Yeah, well,
When there's a coronal mass injection,
or let's just say it fries part of that grid and it's shooting stuff down the line. It's being arrested before it ever makes it to my electronics in the house. That's why there is no way on earth I'm not going to have it. I mean,
so basically, like if there was a grid down situation and you have backup energy, but there was a EMP strike, your backup energy is going to be useless, right?
well, yeah. I mean, if everything in there
everything's
is
fried.
Kentucky fried, yeah. So now I could hook up the generator, or have a transfer switch and the generator goes off, and they even have protection for that. They got them for your radio equipment. They got them for your DC systems, your solar, you name it. I mean, they got it, and that's why there was no other people I was willing to work with when it came to that sort of thing. And that's why we've withheld any kind of support for any. And look, folks, my reputation means more to me. And I've said it before in this channel. The only things that are really worthwhile in the end of the day to most people is what you got up here, what you can do with these, and your reputation. So I'm not going to sit here and peddle some junk. That's a fact. So they make the best, and I'm going to use the best, and I'll spend whatever money I have to make sure I mean, we got insurance for everything, man. I mean, I want lightning insurance. I mean, that's my number one threat. So if it's going to guarantee, and like I said, of all these stuff I installed, the TV transient voltage surge suppressors and stuff like that, not one of them had a guarantee that they offer. So, and this thing's been tested by the military and everything else. So I'm all about that.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
So
belabor the
which one
question,
would
but-
you prefer? Like, which one would you recommend getting
For us?
first, the house or the car?
Because I leave once a week, and I hate doing that. So I'm going with a house for me, the house model for us, that makes the most sense. We don't have a daily commute. We don't do those things. So once a week I got to go out reluctantly and go pick up the pig food that I get for free from some of the partners we work with. I do that typically on Sunday. So that's one day a week I have to go out. Outside of that, yeah, the house is the number one thing for us because at the end of the day, this is where we spend 90% of our time, and thank God I very seldom have to leave.
So if somebody had to commute like a long distance to work every day, would you recommend the vehicle?
I mean, if I was going back and forth like we were driving from, or once a week or once every several weeks, I would drive from DeKalb to, if it's a long commute, look, I'm going to spend the money. I mean, and it's not, and honestly, it's nowhere near as expensive as some of the other ones I've stalled that have that have half the capability.
Yeah. Not interested asked, Billy, was it hard to transition from being in the workforce to leaving it all behind, establishing yourself on a homestead and providing for yourself and your family?
And I know this is not going to be popular, and I'm not trying to offend anybody out there, but honestly, ever since this whole COVID debacle, ever since that happened, I'm not going to lie to you folks, it has been the most productive time of my entire life. One of the things I missed about being in the military was that every single day, it's kind of hard. You feel like when you leave the military and then you go into the private sector, there's this massive transition you got to make. And it was weird because you did so much, even though a lot of it may not have been fun or comfortable. You did so much, and then all of a sudden, modernity, just doing the mundane just is hard to adjust. At least it was for me, and I know it has been for a lot of other people. But making that transition from playing hide and seek for $2,000 a week for somebody else into doing my thing and making half the money, there was no better transition. In fact, even if it weren't working out so well, now I will. Let me put this little caveat in there because it's important. I know a lot of people want to make that transition. Folks, we worked for years and years and years. We've lived in the tiniest places. We've lived in FEMA trailers. We saved our money. We didn't have car payments. We didn't have house payments. I mean, we saved our money. We buy old vehicles. When they quit on us, when they can't run no more, then we get some more. But we saved this money. So it gave us a good jumping off point to not be desperate. So when we finally made this transition to go into it full time, we could do it we could do it in accordance with the permaculture prime directive, which is see to yourself and your family first and then worry about everything else. So to make that transition from a 9-to-5 job into this, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I wouldn't change it for any amount of money. Now, could I go out there and work as a hired gun? Sure, I do now. I mean, I go out there and I do electric work helping people out, but by and large, I can't tell you how good it feels not to have to punch the clock.
Auntie M asked, I've EMP'd my car. How do I protect the fobs? Don't they have those little like cell phone pouches? Because EMP.
Going back to the previous statement, we drive old cars. I don't even. What's a fob?
I had to think for a second what a fob was.
Like I know a Fabio. I mean, is that the Italian dude getting on
the little electronic? I don't really know. I mean, sell your car and get an older one.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I know that in that case it's going to protect everything downstream.
But they have those little cell phone bags, those EMP-proof cell phone bags. I'm sure you could put your fob in there if you wanted to.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's a little Faraday cage. I actually have some. They're about yay big. I gave one to Justin Metcalf. I got a Faraday cage that I stick my phone in every night. Yeah, they make a little thing. So that's a little car button thing, right?
Yeah, it's like the.
Yeah, I think I know what a fob is.
You're asking the wrong person.
I thought it was an acronym for a second there. Sorry, y'all. We drive.
It might be an acronym.
Our newest vehicle is older than he is.
Well, yeah, almost. Mars Bell asked if you won tens of millions in a lottery, what would you invest in first?
Well, I wake
We're
up.
gonna get a whole lot of earthworks done and a whole lot of trees planted.
My life wouldn't change. Honestly, our lives wouldn't change one bit.
Just earthworks would be
No.
faster.
And, you know,
we buy equipment.
I honestly thought about that more than once. You know, I mean, who hasn't thought about if their ship came in? You know, honestly, my life wouldn't change one bit. I wouldn't if my ship rolled in right now and we became multi-millionaires for whatever. Say, I had some long lost uncle. Honestly, I don't see how my life would change one bit. I mean, yeah, you could say I'll wake up and I'll drive either fast or even faster, but that's not what wakes me up in the morning. I wouldn't change one thing. If anything, I'd buy more land.
Yeah, more land, or I mean, just like heavy equipment stuff that would
Yeah.
help move things along faster, get some earthworks done.
No,
I thought
we're
one
not.
thing that would be cool, um, like with some of these consultations, is to like they could enter to win like a complete do-over on their property or something like that.
Yeah,
Depending on who it would be, I mean, they'd have to, apply or something like that.
Yeah, but another
that'd be
thing,
cool.
one thing I would love to be able to do some kind of a lot of the philanthropy we do right now has to do more with we've worked with Veterans for Child Rescue before, and now we're considering working with some other folks as well. And we don't really talk about it. We did a little fundraiser last year, and all the money went to Veterans for Child Rescue. There's a fair piece of that money, honestly, that would go to rescue every single child I know of caught up in child sex trafficking and all the other things out there. That's we pray as a family every day, and that's one of the things that is the scourge of this planet. I would give I would live in a dumpster if it meant saving one kid.
All right. Well, yeah. Sorry, I was trying to catch up on some of these.
What's on your list?
One of the questions on the list was, how do you discourage black bears from running through your yard? The only thing I could think of was putting up an electric fence.
We'll call some of these old boys around here. They'll bring them
Yeah.
dogs. Yeah, they'll treat that black bear in no time.
Yeah, or you could just put up an electric fence.
Hey, hit that
Um,
like button on the way in, y'all. I think that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to catch up. There's a lot of comments. Oh, homesteading pasture. Hey. All right. So here's an update on your bowl.
Hold on, son. You got to give a little. You got to tell him what time it is, dude. You just said his name, and now you're talking about a bowl. You got to tell him what the. You got to give the backstory.
Okay. I was carving a bowl for the homestead pastor and his wife, Miss Robbie Lynn. Here's the bowl so far. Now the issue. I'm gonna have to carve you guys another one because the dimensions aren't what you guys wanted. And also there is cracks forming on the ends. I'm gonna try a method called kintsugi. It's where you use epoxy and like gold leaf, and you fill in the cracks, and it shows. It's a way of preserving pottery, but it can also be applied to like wooden bowls and spoons and stuff like
Well, I
that.
thought that bowl wasn't big enough.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm gonna fix the cracks on these, but I'm also gonna have to carve you guys a new bowl because the cracks and also the dimensions aren't quite big
We
enough.
cut down that cherry out
But
there
yeah,
for.
this is that mountain cherry. That's what that mountain cherry looks like. This would be the bark side. This would be the pith side or the center of the tree, and then yeah.
What's on the
So
inside of
this
this
is the
thing?
sapwood. Well, Dad.
Yeah, you got to give some dimensions here, son.
This is the sapwood right here, and then this digs down into the heartwood, and there's actually quite a bit of heartwood on this mountain cherry. There's only a very little bit of sapwood, but that's the update on that bowl so far.
So he's going to have to carve you another one. We're going to have to take down
Yeah.
another tree or what?
Miss Robbie Lynn, don't worry about it. It's all good. Yeah, so there's that. I got distracted by that bowl. Sorry, guys. So the next question on here was, is there a way to mill a tree with just a chainsaw? Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to lose a lot of material in the process.
Yeah, you're gonna lose like a 1/4 inch per
Yeah,
cut.
at
So
least.
2 cuts, you lose 1/2 inch of lumber. It's not. I mean, there's this guy on YouTube called Advoco or Adovco Makes. It's either Advoco or Adovco Makes, and he shows the simplest, fastest way to mill wood with a chainsaw. He doesn't use any guides or anything like that. It's just practicing muscle memory with swinging the tip of the chainsaw down the length of the wood. So there is that way you can do that. He's done some insane stuff with just a chainsaw. He built a whole log cabin by himself with a chainsaw and like a peavey. So
Yeah,
there is that.
Irish call it Alaskan sawmills. What do you call it? I think I heard it said.
Yeah,
called
there's
that.
the Alaskan sawmill too, which you can buy like an attachment that'll keep it perfectly flat on your log, and you can get perfectly flat cuts. But it's slower because you're using like 5 or 6 teeth at a time to rip a log when chainsaws are meant to cross cut, not rip. Um, and Adovko makes he compares the Alaskan chainsaw mill with his method, and his method is like 3 times faster. So there's that. And then Strand Venture. Oh, they just started a YouTube channel, by the way. Go check out Strand Farm, STRAND Farm. There's some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
on
they
there.
did the first video I saw of theirs, man. That was man, it's answering a whole lot of questions. James and Ashley, man, they're wonderful, wonderful folks. Talking about the 7-day fast he did, man. You know, I watched this documentary where this doctor on there said the one thing Buddha, Confucius, and Jesus agreed on was the benefits of fasting. Um, man, I do an intermittent fast quite often, and now that I started working out again, gonna knock off some of this chub that Michelle put on us. Um, yeah, I'm really wanting to do that, but I'm not because I'll be honest with you, folks. I love to grub, and especially when it's cold outside. She made this split pea soup.
Oh yeah, I'm
So
still full.
what are you doing?
I'm trying to catch up while I was talking. Shouting at clouds. Yeah, you can. Man, people love sending Justin stuff.
I don't even know what you're talking
He was
about.
asking, or shouting at clouds was asking if they have a PO box that they can send him stuff.
Who, Justin?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what's going on with him, dude. People love that dude, and he should, man. He's a wonderful guy. But
Yeah.
man, I mean, that's cool. I mean, just send it to our PO box, and I mean, we just lives down the road.
Which we're not playing games. Like he will get it. That's what people have been. That's why we know how many boxes people have been sending.
Yeah, I mean, that's
because
like,
they send it to our PO box, and we just give it to
yeah, I'm
Justin.
like, man, what are you doing, dude? Everybody's sending him all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah. PO box
2098. I think. Look,
Yeah.
look on the website, y'all.
It's on the
really know.
website.
Yeah.
I think it's PO Box 2098,
Mars Hill.
Mars Hill, North Carolina 28754. Sorry if I said that too fast, but it is on the website.
What's up with the comments, huh?
Well, we didn't ever mention Strand Farm's question. It was how do you manage your electric fence in the snow, keeping it hot in the snow, and then also like some tips on.
Okay, so I'll go back to that wireman or that electrician thing. Honestly, we keep it real hot, and folks, I'm not going to kid you. When it comes to chargers and fences, I don't. There's certain things I do not mind spending money on. Nobody ever wants to spend money, but when it comes to a fence, first of all, Premier one's pretty hard to beat. Number two, the charger you get, don't get that stuff off the shelf down there. It'll get you through. If you got to go to Tractor Supply and get one of those, honestly.
There we go.
Okay.
Are
See
we
us
back?
now? Okay, I guess so.
All right.
Well, what
Our
is it?
signal stopped at anything made in Australia. Sorry, guys. I'm selling a car online, and the dude just called me about it. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. I don't know
Apparently not.
what is on Do Not. Well, I better not mess with it.
Okay,
but,
yeah, don't mess with anything. Anyway,
All right.
anything made in Australia or New Zealand, or Germany, even. I don't know how available those products are, especially right now. But at our local farm store here where I live in Mars Hill, they actually got some of this stuff on the shelf, y'all. If you want stuff that's going to get you through some really tough times and be able to put up with heavy loads and stuff, believe me, they make the cats meow when it comes to chargers and stuff like that in New Zealand. That's why there is no way I will ever use anything else. Yes, they cost considerably more, but they do exactly what you want them to. And if there's little impedance issues and things like that, then it's really not much of an issue. For example, we got 3 pig nets going right now, and I got that New Zealand. I think it's just a 1.5 joule charger, and that thing's pushing out 8,000 volts, and it's every step of the way it's being touched by brush. So get good quality stuff.
Warrior in the Garden was asking a question about composting. Didn't get my pile fully together before the cold. I have a 2-foot pile of chicken bedding and food scraps. Would I get any action if the pile added some more bedding? So basically, like, should he wait for it to stop being cold to kickstart his compost because it's not big enough to hold that heat or to maintain a community of microbes, or should he just wait or add more bedding?
Well, go ahead.
I would say if you're gonna add bedding, I would add something like really high in nitrogen. I would add like a really high nitrogen source, and make sure it depends on how cold it is, really, because the outside layer of that compost is going to basically go inactive, and the center core is going to be what's active. So a way to kickstart that is to add some very high forms of nitrogen in there. 1-to-1 nitrogen to carbon is human urine. So that would be a fast way to speed it up. You also need it to be at least a cubic yard big, or else it's not big enough to support a community of microbes. So go ahead and add your bedding, something low on the carbon scale, and then pee on it.
That's a whole lot of pee.
Well, do it a few times.
That's still a whole lot of pee.
I mean, that's what's gonna get you. It depends on how cold it is as well. So it's just gonna depend. Yeah, just give it a shot. Add some more animal bedding to it, and then pee on it a few times and see if it works. Below freezing, but some days have some high nitrogen bedding for my meat birds. Yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. Add that to the center, though. You want to add that to the center. It's not going to do too much good on the outside of the pile, or else the nitrogen is just going to escape to the atmosphere.
Well, it doesn't sound like your pile was big enough to begin with.
Well, no, they said that. They said they have 3 boys. They got this.
I'd get that pile together.
Yeah, I would get it over a cubic yard, and
More
add
if
some
you can.
nitrogen. Yeah, below 3 cubic yards though, because then over 3 cubic yards it can spontaneously combust. So the next question, what are some staple crops for zone 4A and 5B? The thing that immediately, there we go.
Sorry, y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry guys.
Technical issues.
Yeah, if I put it on airplane mode, then the live stream stops.
All right. What's the next thing there? So.
Well, hold on. What were we talking? Oh, 4A. What are some staple crops for zone 4A and 5B? The Inuits didn't have crops. They had. I mean, not saying that they had they were in zone 4A or 5B, but in the colder regions, your focus is going to be more on meat than it is like your fruits and vegetables, because you have just a very small window of where you can grow your fruits and vegetables if you're in 4A and 5B.
Well, they ain't that far out.
I'm just saying you should focus more on meat production than necessarily your crop production.
No, not necessarily. I mean, that it depends on. It's going to depend on a number of things. 4A and 5B aren't that cold. I mean, you're not dealing with Alaska.
Pretty cool.
I mean, it's not so cold where that's still technically in a lot of those places 4A and 5B are still in the breadbasket of this country. So as far as staple crops, I mean, I don't know exactly where you're at and where you're from, so you'd have to check with your local region on that, because that can encompass a whole variety of latitude there. So it's hard to say for sure.
But you can also grow meat. You can raise meat when it's cold out.
Yeah, no matter what.
Even without a high tunnel and stuff like that. So you could stock up on a bunch of tree hay through the summer.
Okay, what
Yeah.
else? Maybe go back to here, so.
Hold on. What's the first thing we're gonna grow in our high tunnel?
Well, Kendra would tell you strawberries, but
Yeah.
I haven't really thought that far ahead. I mean, that's usually Michelle's ball of wax. I mean, she has a whole list of things that she's ready to go off and running with when it comes to that. Right now, I'm more worried about the beans and bullets aspect of things right now, meaning that there's a whole lot. I mean, a lot of people in the homesteading world. I mean, look at a lot of the other homestead channels out there, and not digging on any of them, but I'm just saying a lot of them like to take the winter off, and I get it. We haven't taken any time off, and I don't know that we ever have. So with that said, I mean, mostly my focus has to do primarily with um, putting in the infrastructure we need for so many different things. Some of it I can't really, not really at liberty to talk about on some of these things right now. Um, but by and large, yeah, I think I think she's going to start with a whole class of brassicas, everything and anything that will grow in there. Danny and Wanda down in Deep South, they were, first time we went down there, he was talking to me quite a bit about the benefits of doing this sort of thing. And in light of the environment of what's going on in this world right now, folks, I want plan A, B, C, all the way down to Z. I want every plan possible, and that's exactly what we're doing here. That's the whole purpose with permaculture, is that we have so much abundance in so many different places that the high tunnel is just adding to it. But as far as what we're going to grow in there, it's going to be every and anything.
Yeah. Also, some tropical varieties of trees that we can't get away with outside around here. Um, do we still use the sheep tractor? Uh, Johnny Ranch Scott from Johnny Ranch was saying that he's seen this use the electric fence. So you
Huh?
want to explain that?
What, I don't know what the question is.
How we're combining the sheep tractor with the electric fence.
Oh, now you could do the sheep tractor all by itself. You could put your sheep in that. That's the cool thing about a sheep tractor is you could put them all in there. And in a lot of places, there was this place in Waco who really invented that sheep tractor. Despite what some YouTube channels out there are trying to tell you, it was the sheep tractor company down there in Waco that invented this thing. Now, there have been a number of other YouTube channels that have hijacked that design and not given these folks credit. And that's one of my big pet peeves out there in this homestead space is that there are a number of people, and if they keep it up, I mean they've quit recently. There's a number of people out there, rather large channels, that will steal ideas and pass them off as their own. Like I said, it's one of my biggest pet peeves out there. It's part of the reason why I don't want to tell people about what we're doing, even though there's a lot of people in this audience that would probably benefit from it. But I'm not saying anything before we do it because more of the times than I can count at this point, there have been a number of ideas that have been stolen from us. Now, coming to that sheep tractor, there was a guy named John Adams who invented it down there near Homestead Heritage. Wait, is that the name of that place in Waco, Texas?
I think
Anyway, it's an Anabaptist community. He came up with it. So I want to make sure I give that credit to whom it's due because those are the people that came up with it. And then lo and behold, they had a Mother Earth News Fair down there. Some very well-known homesteaders went there, took the idea, came home, got on their YouTube channel saying, "Oh, check out this wonderful idea I came up with." No, I know the whole backstory on that, and it's just cold-blooded how that went down. Anyway, the sheep looks like so many people dropped off. I mean, the stupid glitches. Anyway, regarding that sheep tractor and how it works with the sheep fencing, it can work in it. You can leave them in the tractor. You just got to move it, several times a day, depending on your forage, and it works great. I like to be able, and it's also cool in terms of predators and how that all works out. But you can also take that thing and use it as we do, where you have a sheep netting around there, depending on the time of year, where it basically lessens your management. You don't have to move it quite so much. You can move that tractor once every 2, sometimes 3, or even 4 days, especially in the spring flush. So you can leave them in that tractor and almost use it as like a central point. So imagine that's your tractor, and then you can set up your net. Let me get my head out of the way. You can set up your net here, but the tractor is still here. You dig? So you set up your net here, but it encompasses this. Then you go this way, almost like a 4-leaf clover, where you can use your sheep tractor. It's kind of handy that way. And all you need to do is just kind of spin it in place. So the really cool thing about using that sheep tractor along with the sheep netting is that depending on where the opening is, you can just turn your opening and get 4 days and not even have to move the tractor. All you're doing is when they go in at night, just just move the fence. Or sometimes we do it with them in the fence at the same time. I mean, with them actually out and about. When they get onto some new pasture, they're usually pretty occupied. Then we just kind of redo the fence around them. Same way we do the pigs in many ways. Yeah, William had to roll out for a second here. Chicken tractor on steroids. I'm in Honduras and I don't have electric fence. What could I use? Okay. I'm kind of crippled here, y'all, as far as seeing these comments. Okay, so you're in Honduras. You don't have a fencing. What can you use? Well, you're in Honduras. Beautiful place. I remember jumping out of a C-130 there once. At, I believe it was Arrowhead Drop Zone. Anyway, I've never really had to do it that way. You're always going to have everything in the world wants to eat a chicken, bro. I mean, you want something. The netting isn't just to keep predators out. I mean, it's obviously to keep the chickens in, but it's also to keep the predators out. What I would do is you can make areas that are far more favorable to chickens. Now, check it out. Go through and do the same, because I thought about doing this, because in my system, I literally could, because of our livestock guardian dog, I could literally take that fence down, but I think you'd need, the magic number is about 28 chickens to really get that thing to sing. Depending on the size of chickens, you can be all the way down to 21 chickens, okay? And if those are primarily meat birds or dual purpose birds. But if you were not going to use a fence because you want them working those piles, exactly the same way Carl Hammer does at Vermont Composting, where there are no fences for this guy. So what you do is basically make that area so attractive, your compost pile so attractive, that your chickens are going to want to stay there. Otherwise, they're going to do what chickens do. They're going to expand, they're going to go elsewhere, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. So what I would do is try, oh man, that'd be kind of hard to do in an environment like Honduras, I'll be honest with you. But if I were doing it in my area, and I could, I would need considerably more birds, because those birds being what they are, they're not going to just stay on that pile. Okay, so let me get back here.
All right.
William's back on track again. So here we are. Remember, y'all hit that like button on the way in.
Hey, Kevin. I hope you're feeling better, man. Kevin Frazier.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah. All right. So I missed what you guys were saying.
I was talking. There was a guy in Honduras. I saw briefly his question. Anyway, answered that question. A portable solar battery tray would be good. Designed for the roller chicken tractor. Yeah.
What was the?
Well, you can just pick it up wherever. I
Okay.
just picked up the question from the guy in Honduras. I know that may not sound like Honduras is a tough environment, bro, and I don't really know what you're looking at. But in my environment, I could do it, but I think I'd need double the amount of chickens. I would need double the amount of chickens to make that happen.
All right. A portable solar panel battery charge system could be designed to roll out like your chicken tractor.
Possibly.
Is that pertaining to what you guys were just
No,
talking about?
you might as well move on to something else.
Okay. Oh, the Kramer Life is on here as well. They're saying,
Hey, what's up?
saying hi.
Yeah, congratulations. They just jumped over 10,000, and wow, they just announced their property. Go check out the Kramer Life, y'all. It was that's got to be very satisfying for them to finally, bam, put their stake in the ground. Actually, about an hour from here, so it'll be kind of cool. I can't wait for the great big reveal. So check out the Kramer Life.
Oh, Dreamy Days Farm was saying you can get like a 2-zone difference in your high tunnel. So, I mean, like you can, if it works, like if you're in 6A or something like that, and you have a tree that only works in 8A, you'll get away with it in the high tunnel.
Yeah, you get away with a lot in there.
Yeah.
Plus, with all the junk that's going around, the crazy weather. And all of us, to some extent or another, probably in this viewing audience, is going to experience some pretty crazy weather coming up soon. What we're already noticing in that high tunnel is that, good night. There's been so many things we've got mixed up with in the last couple of days that I can't put the finishing touches on it yet. But one of the things that's going to happen in there, and what we did is actually got the plastic on at the very bottoms. I don't know that we even talked about that yet. In the high tunnel, there's screening. So we can roll up the sides, to a certain point. and then on the end we had screen, but we didn't have the plastic. So right now it's not doing such a swell job, but we're going to get there. In fact, we got some really awesome ideas on how to maintain heat in there. Some of it, one of the easiest ways is just fill up some 55-gallon drums of water. Gets hot during the day, and water being what it is with a high specific heat will, radiate overnight. And, that's one way we can go about it too. So we're going to experiment with a few things. It's just, we've had so many loose ends to tie up lately, and we just haven't been able to mess with it.
Patty Strong just said they got some snow now too. Speaking of snow, we're supposed to be getting quite a bit.
Well, that's what they say,
Yeah,
but I mean,
they haven't been right since we moved here.
yeah, Patty and Darren. See, we were on the same homestead as Patty and Darren over at Hacks for the Homesteader. Go check them out too, y'all. Really, we've not experienced any snow here like we've seen in Kansas and Missouri. I mean, not even close. And the wind's kicking. Feels much, much colder in this high altitude. It doesn't feel that cold ever to me. I was doing a video the other day with Michelle, and I was out there in a t-shirt, even though they say it was like 40 degrees, but with low humidity, you can be out there in a t-shirt and feel perfectly fine through most of the winter. At least I do.
Dang. Yeah, Auntie M said they got 8 to 12 inches with ice underneath today and tonight. Dang.
Don't know where that is, but I do not envy. And that's another thing, y'all. I mean, that's the cool thing about a homestead is I hate going out anyway.
The cord.
Oh, yeah. I hate going out anyway. So, I mean, if you snow us in, we were talking about getting some sleds and maybe getting with Justin and them, and maybe we'll get a big toboggan and go down these.
We've got some hills.
Boy, we got some hills now.
There's one underneath the power lines where it's like cleared of trees. I want to go down that one.
Yeah, I'm worried about hitting one of those stumps and then I'll wind up breaking a hip or something.
Yeah, I'm in Ontario. Elijah West said I'm in Ontario, Canada. It's freezing and snowing like crazy. Currently -17. Man. Dreamy Days Farm said your high tunnel is art. I love the Shou Sugi Ban. Thanks. Yeah, it turned out better than I thought it was going to be, especially those doors. I think those doors look cool with the plywood.
Yeah, I didn't expect all that. It was kind of a cool thing to do. And
also, well, a tip if you're doing that Shou Sugi Ban, your dimensions will slightly change whenever you start burning the ends and
That's
stuff. And there's a chance that the boards will cup and warp a little bit. So if you're doing like a heavy Shou Sugi Ban, yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing I was like, man, I know when I cut something, man, I better be right on the money. And I'm like, man, I got boards that are coming up a 1/4 inch short. And I'm like, man, what is going on here? There is no way I'm off this much. And I didn't even say anything because I was so embarrassed. I was like, man, I ain't even gonna talk about this. And I'm like, man, how is this happening? That's one of the downsides. He's right with that Shou Sugi Ban. You go scorching those boards, man, they wind up off a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, he lost as much as a 1/4 inch out of it. So do you need to call this guy again?
No, I don't know who that is.
Anyway, people are popping up all over the place.
Yeah, 9 o'clock at night. I don't know why people decide to call.
Well, it's probably some of those robocallers. But yeah, that's Shou Sugi Ban, y'all. I love it. But more than anything, I love anything history related. I'm gonna dig. And one thing I love about that is that the Japanese have been using it forever and a day. They don't have to use treated wood. They can do that stuff and it lasts forever and a day. We've done it before and it's worked well. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to seeing how it works here. But part of it had to do with the bows that Justin gave us for this thing, for this greenhouse. In and of themselves, if you set them on the ground, they're already 10 feet tall and they're 20 feet wide. So these things are enormous. And the thing is 13 feet high already. So we're going to have a few more engineering challenges. Nothing major. The hard part's done. It's just a matter of, there's some really cool ways. I can't wait to, I guess I'll give you a hint. It's kind of like a version of radiant flooring, but the way I expect we're going to do it is going to be pretty darn cool. But like I said before, I don't want to reveal too much ahead of time because, like I said, there are other. I thought everybody in this YouTube world and the homesteading world were solid people, but I'm finding out that hasn't always been the case. So
Two Old Crows Homestead. They said when you do the Shou Sugi Ban, do you have to add the linseed oil too? Traditionally, yeah, they do use some sort of oil after they do the Shou Sugi Ban. You don't have to use linseed oil. We do linseed oil because it's because we use linseed oil because it's food safe. You can use it on like spoons and stuff like that. Same as flaxseed oil, boiled linseed oil. Um, yeah, so traditionally you do it that way. The raised beds that we did in Texas, we didn't add linseed. We
No,
didn't add
they
any
did
oil.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they
they
were
did.
directly on the ground in the rain and the mud.
And they were buried, some of them. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
didn't. You could not tell. I mean, you could pull the soil away years later, and it was still. I mean, it was still intact. I mean, and there was nothing special about that wood. It was just. It wasn't even treated. It was like off the shelf. Actually, no, it was recycled wood also.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was that heat treated stuff, wasn't it?
No, I don't even. It wasn't
Or
even
pressure
that.
treated?
No, it wasn't treated any kind of way. It was just some regular. And believe me, with that Shou Sugi Ban, it showed no sign of wearing and tearing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't be more pleased with it. It took it now. Doing it this way, putting up a high tunnel this way, y'all, took 3 times longer. I ain't gonna kid you. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. It was a lot of work. I mean, as far as, I mean, we're no strangers to work, but it took a lot. Where if you could just take treated wood and move on, we would have put this thing up in days, in just a couple of days. But somebody wanted to see the spoons or what?
Yeah, Emily wanted to see some of the spoons I've been working on. I think she specifically wants to see this one. This is the one I carved recently. It has a little. I experimented with the Colrose fox. The fox is a little wonky, but it was the first attempt. But here's one of the spoons. This is from that mountain cherry, where you can see the sapwood and the heartwood, all in the same spoon. I think I like that pattern though. It gives you a nice grip to eat with. And if anybody buys spoons or bowls and stuff like that, they're meant to be used. Like they're food safe as long as you don't have any nut allergies. Yeah, they're like you can eat with them and stuff like that. That's what they're intended for. So, yeah. Here's one that I just baked today. This one is red maple. Yeah, and then it's baked to change the color of it and all that stuff. So, oh, and then Scott, here's your Swedish butter knife. Yeah, so that's what that looks like. Yeah.
Are we froze up?
No, we're not frozen.
Well, it ain't doing nothing there. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we've had all
Yeah, we're
kinds of
not
crazy
frozen.
technical.
It was paused on this one.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Okay, all kind of crazy technical.
But yeah, we're
glitches.
good.
Okay, so what else we got? All right, let me
Yeah.
cover something while he's figuring this out, y'all. Let me just.
Oh, here's
Let-
one. Elijah West. He said, "I live in a Canadian zone 4B. Is there any fruit trees I can grow that will produce?"
Yeah, talk to Stefan Subkoviak.
Yeah.
He's right up there next to you.
The permaculture orchard.
Yeah. Miracle Farms is what he has up there.
Yeah.
Probably the best permaculture orchardist on the planet. And we take a lot of our cues from him. Not just him, but so many people. Ours is basically we take a hodgepodge of Subkoviak, Mark Shepard, Jeff Lawton, Elaine Ingham. It's kind of cool because I think what we've come up with was a cut and paste of the very best elements of all the people we admire, okay, as far as how they do this. So there may be things with Subkoviak that maybe we don't want to do, and that we lean into what Jeff Lawton's doing. Or there's a way where some of these people might baby their trees a little more than I'd want to do. So then I'm going to look into the way Mark Shepard does it and his STUN method. STUN standing for strategic total utter neglect. It used to stand for sheer total utter neglect. And then Elaine Ingham as far as the soil management, Jeff Lawton as far as the guilds. So what I think we've come up with, and I'm not ready to do a comprehensive thing on that. And in fact, we've kind of covered it before, but we've basically cut and pasted all of the best, and this is not something we just did last week, y'all. We've been doing this for years, and we've taken all of the best elements of all these people, even that guy from the man, I can't think of him. He's the guy that does the wood chip gardening. The Back to Eden guy. A lot of wonderful information there. So we've basically taken all of these wonderful things where we didn't come up with anything originally. If there's anything original to how we do it, it's basically mixing what we think are the best elements of all these different people. And frankly, the results are astonishing. And I'm not overstating it at this point. But before you get on, I wanted to cover one thing before we get off of here, because I'm not sure that I'll be able to, folks. The word of the day is preparedness. I don't refer to us as preppers. I hate anything that ends in ER, because somehow the prostitutes in the media have somehow made us think, they brainwashed the overwhelming majority of America, that anything that ends in ER is a bad thing. So that's why I say preparedness as opposed to prepper. So with that said, I want to say that in light of everything going on right now, folks, whether it's these storms, whether it's the financial issues, all these different things that are going on right now, keep your head screwed on tight. Think about, if you don't have money to go out there and get a lot of the preparedness food that a lot of people think you need right now, look, you don't need that much. We did a video showing how you can prepare on $100 and last you for about 73 days. Consider those things. I mean, beans, rice, do you want to eat that every day? Maybe not. But if it means not eating at all, I mean, I'll eat anything. So think about those things right now in light of the things that, I don't need to tell you what the prices are in the stores right now. It was funny, the other day I was in the store, all these regular prepared items were out, but they still had bags and bags of beans and rice that were available. And it was at Sam's Club the other day when I was in there getting some other preparedness items. So folks, call this our public service announcement, call it whatever you like. And also talk with the people also in this chat box or whatever they call this thing.
Oh,
right
they
now.
are.
No, I mean, go figure out, because I guarantee there's a lot of awesome people out there like Darren and Patty over at Hacks for the Homesteader, all these other people out there, and a number of others that have been at this and old hats for a long time. Subscribe to them. Just because a person has a big YouTube channel doesn't mean they have a greater share of common sense than some of the people that I personally know that have been at this and are better at it than just about anybody else you can think of. So there is awesome information out there. There's another one from Hacks for the Homesteaders they're partnered with right now. Can't think of their name right now. They've been covering a lot of canning.
Grumpy Acres.
Yeah, Grumpy Acres Homestead. So folks, reach out and check out some of these, just because a lot of these bigger channels, I'll be honest with you, a lot of them aren't really, well, I'm trying not to diss a lot of these people, but a lot of them aren't covering this kind of thing.
A lot of them are on entertainment.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's
It's
nothing
just
wrong
not
with
what
it.
we
It's
do.
just a different style of content.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not what we do. But folks, I would feel absolutely remiss and foolish if we were to get off this live stream and I don't take the time to say, look, have you thought about, like we talked about earlier, your EMP preparedness? It doesn't just have to be EMP. Lightning is a greater concern than anything else. I mean, at least in my world, and it protects against that. Think about your EMP thing. We sell things also, honestly, like we sell things that you should never have to buy again from us. We want to, it's not a planned obsolescence thing for us. When we sell you comfrey, we should learn enough from us to realize, hey, if I buy this from it, I never got to buy it again. Or the bone sauce. Guess what? It'll last 30 years. I mean, we're not selling or we're not encouraging you to buy things that maybe you can't use. And let's say you can't use anything, folks, before you buy anything from us or anybody else out there, get your house in order. Don't buy anything from us. Don't buy anything from anybody else until you got your beans and bullets squared away. And there's never been a more consequential time in the United States of amnesia to get those things. I could sit here from the top of my head and fill volumes, folks. But like I said, go get prepared. I implore you to do these things. Sorry, I didn't mean a monologue like that. But honestly, I feel so passionate right now about this because I'm hearing these conversations in meetings that I've been to last week. And it's like everybody is oblivious to what's going on right now.
Yeah, and back to the comfrey, like if you buy 10, that can easily turn into 100 your first split. I mean, you should never have to, unless all of them die,
and don't put them in
do not put them, there was somebody that mentioned that they bought them and they live in Houston and they didn't grow. Just guessing, I'm assuming you may have put them in potting soil or miracle grow or something like that.
No,
They
don't do
love
that.
the crappiest soil you have. They want the worst you got, and they'll
Right.
thrive in that, and they'll completely change the soil. Mom and I were just digging up comfrey
Yeah.
the other day, and that soil looks like you can see the layer of the new soil versus the dense hard clay. And each time we dig up comfrey, there's a huge difference in the two. Like
Right.
it's
So
just growing.
right, and all the wonderful uses for it. But at the same time, folks, yeah, we would love for you to purchase whatever it is from us, and then if you don't, that's fine. I mean, the sun don't rise and set on that sort of thing for us. But honestly, please get your beans and bullets squared away. Get your house in order, because look, I know we're trying to be upbeat because it's a live stream, y'all. But at the same time, I'm going to keep it real and tell you that you had better at these times. I mean, look at what just went down in between the United States and Canada right now, our closest trading partner, huh? I mean, nobody really knows because it seems we keep getting conflicting stories about the truckers, but all of a sudden, if you have this big bottleneck, we got bottlenecks on each coast, okay? Now we got a bottleneck coming out of Canada. We get all of our wood out of Canada by and large. And how many things from here go up to Canada? There's a whole lot of other things that come from Canada down. Look, if you got an additional bottleneck to the ones that are happening on the coast, what do you think that leads to? So, folks, I'll say it this one time and then we'll get back to your questions. Get your house in order, and it's not that expensive to do.
Somebody's asking if we have a comfrey video. Um,
Quite a few. We'll do more of them.
yeah,
We
we're
can't
gonna
do enough of them because, I mean,
we keep discovering new uses for it.
it's
Really.
not just discovering, it's things we already do with them, but we just assume everybody else knew it. And we didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so there's all these things like with the tree hay that we did the other day that people were pretty pleased about that video. Of course, it's nowhere near as popular as dealing with code enforcers, but I would have never guessed that video would be. Honestly, we were expecting to lose half our subscribers. I
Yeah.
thought so many people would be offended.
Yeah. If it does go viral, though, there's gonna be some angry people contacting us.
Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. But as far as the comfort goes, and as far as all the things, we've made so many videos about it in the past that we've been reluctant to do it again because I don't want to look like somebody who's out here trying to peddle something or sell you something. Honestly, we're just selling you things we know you need, especially if you're, or at least we suspect you need. I don't know how you have a homestead and not find all the wonderful uses for comfrey as a great benefit. So, like I said, I'm not a salesman. If you want it, we got it, and we give you more than you expect, and we give you bigger pieces too. So
Elijah West was saying, you mentioned tree hay. What would be a good plant here in Canada for Zone 4B for tree hay? There's certain trees you do want to stay away from. Like around here, mountain cherry is one of them. It's apparently like cows will, when they have nothing else to eat, they'll eat too much of that and they'll just keel over and die. Stick to like your oaks, maples. We have a video on it. I think it's called "Are You Still Buying Hay? Watch This." And Mom goes over some of the varieties that she cut down, like black locust. That's everywhere for the most part. Oaks, maples, those are pretty much everywhere. Sweet gums, stuff like that.
Yeah,
More often than not, you're probably safe
Yeah.
on tree hay.
yeah. I mean, it's a really cool method. I'm glad we exposed that out there. I'm glad a lot of people got to find out exactly how cool this tree hay can really be.
Yeah.
Also, the comfrey. I mean, we bundle that stuff up, and like I was not exaggerating. If we had acres and acres and acres of comfrey, I can't. It wouldn't be enough. That's how much we use it, and we use it for everything.
Kevin wants to know, like, can we smoke brisket with that mountain cherry? Can we smoke with that
I
mountain
don't know.
cherry?
Kevin mentioned it before. I don't know. I'm going to find out though because we got one laying out there right now that we're fixing to cut up. He's got to make another bowl for Miss Robbie Lynn.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be out of that wood or something else, but
With that cherry?
yeah, is that what you're going to make it out of?
Yeah. But there's plenty of wood off that cherry. We could definitely.
Right, but I'm definitely
try
going to
it.
try it. I mean,
Yeah.
man, I mean, I got plenty of. That's one cool thing about having an orchard, y'all, is that all this stuff I prune, like the peach wood. I mean, some of this wood I've never smoked with before. Cherry I've used, and just floored by it as far as smoking meat. Peach wood I've used, but we got other wood here too that I never even thought. Apple I've used, but I never smoked anything but apricot wood. I'm gonna give it a shot. I mean, supposedly any fruiting or nut wood by and large you can use. So I'm looking forward to finding out.
Jeanette Duquet, I'm guessing French because you're in Louisiana. They're saying they can't find comfrey in Louisiana. That's probably intentional. There's really only other one supplier that I know of besides us
Yeah, and
that sells comfrey, and I think there was at one point in time there was this like almost a hit put out on comfrey
yeah,
saying it causes like liver failure and stuff like that. The Germans just recently did a studies on it and they couldn't find a single case of liver toxicity.
but
I think
that's
the
what
reason is because
too
it did
good,
too well.
right?
Yeah.
It's too good, and you'll find that out over and over historically. There's a guy named John Taylor Gatto. Um, and if you want to see something really cool, we talked about it before, the ultimate history lesson with John Taylor Gatto. And he discusses that. Richard Grove and a number of others out there discuss all these wonderful things, natural things, and I'm sure people in this audience could list quite a few more that have been historically fantastic for so many different things. You know, whether it's cannabis oil, whatever, whatever it is out there. Um, I know a guy who literally cured himself. In fact, I did my permaculture design certificate with this kid named Cody, who cured himself of glioblastoma multifacies, brain cancer. Cured himself. These doctors basically he had a tumor the size of a fist in his brain, and they said, "Look, the kid, just pack it up." I got a nephew who died of that very thing. Yeah, that's not a comfortable subject, but Cody had exactly the same thing and cured himself because at the time in Texas, cannabis or cannabis oil, I can't remember how it was illegal. So people were actually dying because they're like, well, it's illegal. I'm not going to get it. Cody's like, no, forget you and your laws. I'm going to make this thing. Well, he's alive and well today, and he cured himself. Same thing going back to this comfrey where there's all this bad press put out about how awful it is and you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And then I'm like, okay, when that comfrey's super vegetative, how much do we feed the pigs in a day? I'm feeding.
You can't give them enough.
Right.
I mean,
These pigs are eating. In fact, I was trying to kill them. If you were listening to most people, I'm out here giving them bales of comfrey. I'm picking it up every single day, and these pigs are eating it as quick. They will quit eating their food to eat the comfrey. And I'm like, I was like, hold on, man, something ain't right here. No matter what animal I give it to, they will eat this stuff like their belly button's touching their backbone. And I haven't seen one die yet. And then the more and more we study, we find out that sure enough, all these studies came from people that would lose big money if people discovered the benefits of comfrey. So that's the cool thing. Even if you have little money, you could buy 10 pieces from us. And like you said, by the time you're done splitting this stuff, you should never have to come back. We want to put ourselves out of business. I don't want you ever to come back to me when you buy a product like that from us and say, hey, I need more of it. If you grew it the way we tell you, you'll never need it again. In fact, yeah, you should have it coming out of your ears.
yeah, put it in the worst soil you have.
Don't put it in potting soil.
Don't put it in potting soil. It likes fixing bad soil.
And in fact, yeah, talk about Stefan Subkowiak. He was talking about why he quit growing comfrey in certain parts of his orchard is because it won't do any good anymore because the soil has so much improved itself that the comfrey's like, okay, my job is done here. So he took it out and replaced it with some other shrub. And he took the comfrey and basically, as I remember it right, he put it to a place that it was an area that needed fixing.
Yeah.
And the comfrey does well there. But once it's fixed, it's like, okay.
It's a pioneer species.
Right. It's like,
so once it serves its purpose, it's done. And also somebody mentioned about like wondering if it was invasive. It's not.
no.
This is a Bocking number 4, Russian Bocking number 4. It's a clumping variety. It's not a running variety. So if you plant it there, it's gonna stay there and just get bigger right there. So
Right, and you can split it,
Yeah.
and this stuff, folks, you should. Like I said, there's not an animal on your homestead. In fact, when the Kramers were here from the Kramer Life, they were here, and then Sean the Modern Yeoman, I showed them, if I'm not mistaken, I literally pulled it. They had already eaten. The chickens had already eaten. I took some comfrey, threw it over to them. I mean, I've given chickens. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. I suspect I have my suspicions as to who does it, but it's basically follow the money. Who benefits from you being? I mean, who doesn't? Who loses money when you're feeding your animals stuff you grew quite easily? In fact,
Yeah. Kenneth Sword said, Sword. Well, comfrey helped fix the soil that is mostly clay. Down at the bottom in the food forest, that is solid clay. It's like Play-Doh down there. It was, yeah.
yeah.
Now that's like 4 or 5 inches of really good topsoil, because a lot of it is part of it is cardboard and mulch that's just decomposed. But also you can see the roots from the comfrey is digging down into it and just breaking apart that clay. It's completely changed down there. In Texas, that was probably the densest clay I've ever seen. They actually ship out clay because of the compaction rate on that in that area of Texas. But yeah, it does just fine in comfrey or in clay.
And it's like the more you coppice it, and the more you do a chop and drop on it, it just comes back even stronger and better. And then the cool thing about those leaves is if you don't give them to your animals, and we've done many videos about this where we'll take it and mulch trees. That's why around every single tree we grow, whether it's a productive tree or whether it's a nitrogen fixer, which is still a productive tree to me, um, in every single case. In fact, I'm going to do a video I think here pretty soon, kind of talking about this. There's around every single tree. There's at least two, typically four comfrey plants around every single productive tree we have, because we'll chop it off, and usually I use my shovel as a gauge. I mean, we keep them to a certain distance from there. Chop it off, throw it around the tree. It's the simplest, best mulch you can use.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. Oh, do not buy comfrey seeds from Amazon. It is not going to be comfrey.
No.
There's actually kind of a big scam on a lot of these, like trees.com. Do not buy seeds from there. There's a lot of scams going on with tree seeds and just plant seeds in general. So be very cautious about where you're buying your seeds online. Usually, if it's the first couple of Google results, they're scam websites. So just be careful with that. What about pond sealing with comfrey?
Yeah, Eric Sider had mentioned that before too. We might end up trying some of that. I mean, some people have apparently had great results with it. With the pigs, we tried it initially with them, and it has improved. I mean, the pigs did a good job. I mean, it's just not the best location. It was an experiment worth trying, but honestly, in the right circumstances, the pigs would have worked out perfectly. This just wasn't it. But yeah, using comfrey leaves, we've heard that the slime basically makes or seals that thing quite well. Not only comfrey, but also you can use some of that. What's that clay? The
Bentonite clay.
bentonite. You can do that. It's essentially gonna, I think, do the same thing. So yeah, that's one of the things I plan on doing come spring. Is when the comfrey gets up and running, I want to maybe glay that pond and see if it's going to work that way before I use the
The
bentonite.
pond that we did with the pigs, kind of a didn't work type
That's
thing.
what I just said.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading. Do we ship to Canada?
Yeah, we have. We have.
I think we've shipped to Ireland before.
Yeah, we've shipped to Ireland. We've shipped all kinds of stuff. Yeah. People in Australia wanted stuff, but we can't. We can't ship over there. When he was over there at Jeff Lawton's place, we tried to send.
I was waiting on that care package. I was fighting these vegans left and right.
Yeah.
Trying to get some beef jerky.
Yeah, we couldn't. I mean, it was cold blooded. I mean, what you can't ship is really astonishing. But yeah, we've shipped bone sauce to Ireland and stuff. So yeah, we have shipped to Canada.
Oh, Cynthia Stone and Matt Stone. Matt Stone is the one that sent us those leather pieces.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah, that's him. Thank you so
man,
much.
that
Those
dude-
are awesome.
We meant
If
to shout
there's-
you out before.
Yeah, I want to. Is there like a website of yours that we can shout out, or like a storefront or something like that? If you mention it down in the comments, we'll mention it now, and
Well,
we'll also mention
tell
it in the
everybody else
video.
what he did.
This dude, first of all, he made me 2 Fisker sheaths for my spoon carving and stuff like that. It's the best leather work I've ever seen. He made these coasters. The amount of detail that he put in these coasters. I'm just gonna go get them real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, my man, he did one for Justin.
Man,
And
he did a
Metcalf.
water wheel on there.
Yeah, I mean, this guy did some really awesome, and it was shocking. But I was like, well, how do we get a hold of him? I mean, I want to tell him thanks. So if you're on tonight, thank you. That was really cool. But man, it's so awesome that I'm afraid to actually use the coasters. I mean, nine times out of 10, I'm drinking out of one of these things anyway, so it doesn't really. It is really
Yeah.
okay. So he picked them up.
Look
right
at
here.
these guys. Look at this. This is Mom's. Oh, it's backwards for you guys. But it says the original Homestead Honey. This is our logo. I don't even know how he did that. This one's for Dad. And this one's mine.
And you guys got to check out
Yeah.
the ones that Justin, if he ever goes live,
Man.
you guys got to check out the one they did for him.
He
It
did a
is
water wheel.
Yeah.
He made a water wheel on that thing. I don't even know how you can't, it's not like you can buy a stamp of a water wheel and just press it on this leather. That is, yeah. If there's, let me see if.
Thanks so much for doing that. I mean, it was a, man, yeah. So some of these, thank you everybody for all these well wishes and the gifts you send. I mean, it's truly
Yeah.
appreciative.
If-
But I don't know. I don't know how I could possibly use that stuff.
I'd feel bad using it.
Yeah, I'm like I feel like this thing needs to get. Maybe I'll put Billy up over my.
Justin said you'll see it on his next video.
Okay.
So he's gonna show it on his next video. The one he did for Justin is absolutely incredible, and that one he did for that my Fisker sheaths, they're awesome. So if you have a website or a storefront or something like that, or if they can commission work from you, please let us know so we can shout that out. What was the guy's name that made those coasters? Matt Stone. His mom is in the comments right now, Cynthia Stone. She's in the comments right now. Yeah, if there's, as soon as I get the info, guys, I'll share it with you guys. But
Yeah, we'll definitely mention you in a video,
Yeah.
man. The cool stuff you're doing, and that question came from the homesteading pastor, folks. That's another video channel. I mean, that's another YouTube channel you want to check out as well, folks. My goodness, their son, this boy can chirp like he plays the piano. I mean, they got a lot of cool stuff that goes on there. I mean, a lot of cool stuff that go on that channel as far as in my faith. I mean, things that mean a whole lot to me and catch me in the place, in the time and the places I really need to hear them. Pastor Lon seems to, hit it right on target, especially these days. My prayer life and every part about my walk has only gotten better the worse times get. I know that might sound crazy for some folks, but it ain't for us. I mean, we pray as a family every day, and hearing his devotionals and everything mean the world to me. And honestly, if y'all do nothing else, go check out their son. I mean, this boy's got a voice. I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, the first time I heard him sing, I'm like, say what? I had to back this thing up and listen. I'm like, I can't believe all this is coming out of here. No training. He is something to hear. He is truly a joy, y'all. So check out, that's another channel you want to check out as well, folks, especially if you're like me, and you need to be fed that word every day. If you don't get it, if I don't get into my Bible every day, it's not going to be a good day, and for a whole variety of reasons. So thank you, Pastor Lon.
Cynthia Stone, she just said you can always contact her through Facebook. She has seeds that don't exist anywhere else. She has some of these tomato seeds that were supposed to be extinct, and she somehow hunted them down and found them. That is a reliable source to get seeds from. Cynthia Stone, she said you can contact her through Facebook. Her son is the one that does the leather.
They were at that Back to the Land festival
Yeah.
is where we came across them. They were wonderful folks.
Yeah.
And when you told her son that he needs to be charging way more for what he's doing.
Yeah, he is not charging enough for his leather work at all. Um, yeah. There was one question I saw that. Oh, Keto Carla, what is bone sauce and how does it work?
Well, okay, bone sauce was basically, yeah. Somebody called themselves trying to take me to task one time. Well, I remember being down at Deep South Homestead, and somebody saying, "Man, he's a liar. He didn't invent bone sauce." Folks, I never claimed that I did. Um, Bone sauce was basically, it wasn't even invented by Sepp. There's a guy named Sepp Holzer, SEPP Holzer, permaculture genius. Has a place called the Chromatograph.
Which
And
doesn't sound like a friendly place.
no, it sounds like a place where you're gonna probably get your head
Sounds
chopped
like a dungeon.
off. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, he made the world aware of this bone salve. Salve is what he calls it, and in his book, and he has a method for making it. We tried that method, didn't work out so great. So,
Tried another method.
well, the method
That
being,
didn't work.
well, the method being, the whole purpose of it is that the bone sauce is to keep browsers away from your trees, rabbits, deer, things like that. We tried it and it never worked out. And folks, I can't even tell you how many hours I put into it. Then we invented, I'd actually prayed, speaking of praying about it, I was like, Lord, please give me some direction here. I am lost on this thing. I have no idea how to go about this. And then there was a series of events that happened. And it basically, we invented a way of doing it that makes it more intense, more powerful than any way that I've seen instructed out there. And it takes time, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of bones, and it takes a lot of patience. And one thing ain't right, the heat ain't right. Anyway, we invented this process. It's very precise, and it only works about 50% of the time until recently. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get this right. So basically, it's a deer repellent that you put on there, and for the claims have been from 30 to 50 years, it'll keep browsers away.
Yeah.
We had deer decimating our trees. First time I got it right, we put it out there. We didn't even, I was afraid to put it on the trees first time we did it. And we put it on stakes, and then the deer never came back around. And it worked so well, I told Michelle, hey, put it on every post all the way around the front of this property. Well, that was a bad idea because now we ain't got no deer, and we ain't got no turkey either.
We don't have squirrels. We don't have
No.
rabbits. We don't.
There ain't no squirrels, there ain't no rabbits, no squirrels, no nothing. The only thing that would work better would be if we posted pictures of Hillary Clinton on these trees. That way Sasquatch wouldn't even come around. They're like, oh no, we're going to die if we go anywhere near that tree. So, you know.
And now the live stream.
Yeah. That's the only thing works better than bone sauce.
Elijah West, they said my pond is too small, or is too small. How do I expand an already existing pond? You can do what was some civilization in South America. I can't remember specifically which one, but you can create what are called chinampas. You can dig out little fingers, and you can increase your pond edge. Unless you're using your pond is like a water tank, and you're extracting water from that. That's a different story. But increasing your pond edge gives you more of a planting area around your pond, and gives you different microclimates.
Gives you more life.
Yeah, increasing edge. You should. You said something about taking online PDCs. Depending on which one you're talking about, you'll learn the importance of edge and interaction between the two different media. So if you increase the edge on your pond, that's going to do a lot. It's also going to give you different elevations to plant in. I mean,
all the action
yeah.
in nature happens on the edge. Okay, look at deer. We were talking about deer a moment ago. Where do deer walk? They walk on edges. Where does all the life happen? For example, when you go walk you're coming out from a field or a meadow, let's say, and you walk into a patch of woods. What do you notice for the first 20 meters or so? It's extremely thick when you first walk into the edge of a wood. Then as you get in there, kind of clears up, right? It's because all this magic, all these things happen on edge. So whenever you have pond, we did videos on it. In fact, one of the first videos we did on this channel was way back in Texas, where we were making a pond and making chinampas out of it.
Yeah.
and just for that reason, So it adds abundance. It adds more life.
Just an inside joke between me and Kevin. I think that goulash spoon's gonna be bigger than that car that I brought down. But yeah, the chinampas. He said he's been learning about chinampas. That was yesterday's main topic. So if you could create that on a smaller scale, that's gonna help you out.
And it works. I mean,
Yeah.
we've done it. I mean, and in fact, we have a pond down there. It's not yet sealed, but that's the idea. Charlotte, Justin's daughter, called it the love, or what she said, it looks like a
The
heart.
heart, yeah, the heart.
Yeah, we
pond.
were deciding on what we thought it looked like, and she said it looked like a heart, so I call it the love pond. She's a little sweetie. I miss her.
Um, Jason Vance. I'm a dispatcher for a trucking company, and the problem isn't really the truckers; it's the laws. Canada
Right.
won't let you in unless you take the jab, and these dockyards won't take back containers.
Right. And so yeah, the truckers are they're not the problem. It's bureaucracy. It's the nonsense. It's part of what I was trying to get at with this last video here. I mean, it was part of it was a big piece of it was meant to be humor. But yeah, the bureaucratic nonsense. And think about it, folks. There was a guy, look, I'm going to say this straight out. A lot of these people that all of a sudden have power, whether they're bureaucrats or whatever else, J.R.R. Tolkien once wrote, and I'm going to quote this as best I can, if I remember it right. He said, the most improper job of any man is bossing other men. Not one in a million is fit for it, and least of all those that seek the opportunity. How many of you out there right now are saying amen? Because it's the truth. And you have all these people, these petty tyrants, wannabe petty tyrants. You put a clipboard in their hand and give them a little bit of power. How many times have you worked for somebody out there that they were all cool and they were your buddy, and the second they got put in charge, all of a sudden they did a 180? How many people? Now, if you know people like that, now how many people, if you give them power, like Lord Acton said, power corrupts absolutely. And now all of a sudden they can tell you whether or not your vehicle can go, or whether or not this truck can drive, or whether or not this can happen or that can happen. Da 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 da. You get the point. At the end of the day, when all these people are telling you how to live your life or what you can or can't do, at the end of the day, they're stifling your life. You're telling me I have to work within this narrow parameter of idiotic choices, or you give me a false dichotomy between two awful choices where you tell me I vote for this person or I vote for this person. That's my two choices, Coke or Pepsi. It's like picking out the hood ornament on a car that's about to run you over anyway, which is exactly what it is. Folks, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go down this rabbit hole. It's just so much is going on in this world, and it's agonizing me when I realize that all these petty tyrant and bureaucrats are telling you you cannot raise chicken. You can't grow food in your yard. You have got to grow grass when you can't eat it, or at least I can't.
Especially when it doesn't negatively affect anybody else. Especially like
Yeah.
if it's one thing if you have somebody running pigs up in the stream like uphill from you, obviously that should be, shut down at some extent. But if you're raising chickens and it doesn't negatively affect anybody else, in fact, everybody downhill of you is benefiting from the nitrogen the chickens are leaving behind over time, then I mean the chickens are wiping out ticks. It's doing a community service. And they're not chickens, remember, they're bald eagles. So
There you
if
go.
anybody has any issues with
Or those roosters identify as hens.
Yeah.
You can go that way. Part of what that video was today was it was more of a joke, and we debated on. I mean, it was part of a joke, but it was also a deeper point I was trying to make. But we did it on the fly, so we don't have script writers or anything like that. It was all.
I don't think we've ever once written a script.
No, it was just extemporaneous. We went out there with a camera and we said, okay, this is kind of the topic I want to talk about. And we went ahead and went with it. But the point being, the bigger point is, look, y'all, I'm not going to let some petty tyrant tell me what I can and can't eat. I'm not going to let some petty tyrant tell me what I have to put into my body or what I don't have to put in my body. I'm not going to let somebody who lives 1,000 miles away from me, knows nothing about my life or how I live or what's important to me. I'm not going to let these people determine the dictates of my life. And frankly, if it means, and I've already come to terms with the fact that if it means at the end of the day I got to wind up getting food out of dumpsters to eat, I will do it before I live. I will not live under a yoke. I will not be a slave. That's all there's. That's all there's. There's really nothing more to say about that. But yeah, but folks, one more time. I know we're going to probably have to cut it off here before too long, but I do want to say, folks, please, please, I implore you, prepare. You don't need to go spend a ton of money on freeze-dried food, beans, rice. Look, we live on them right now. We just ate rice for dinner tonight. I mean, it's
Well, it was beef stroganoff
with rice. Yeah. Michelle denied me my doggone noodles because she's got me going gluten-free and everything. So, yeah, mind those New Year's resolutions, y'all. Be mindful what you promise, because right now I'm just beating my head against the wall right now. I want some bread. But anyway,
Whoa, Kevin Fraser, you mentioned permaculture and diversity are synonymous. Yeah. Which also, should we get into that other topic?
what?
Talking about these claims against about permaculture and all that stuff. We were talking about it before.
No, let's save that for a video, because honestly, it's kind of getting long in the tooth, and I imagine people are trying to look. If it's Friday night and you're watching us, you might be prepared. You might be into preparedness. But folks, one last time, please get your staples.
For
Like
how
somebody just
long?
mentioned there.
Like
Is
their
that
food,
Granny?
how much? Yeah, Granny's on there.
Everyone needs to have a libertarian friend who tells them I couldn't.
Everyone needs to have that libertarian friend who tells them things that don't happen until years later. Most people can honestly handle the truth. Cannot honestly handle the truth.
That's true. That is absolutely true. I mean, no, there was this dude, and I'll tell this real quick. The dude sold the Eiffel Tower for scrap twice. Okay? He was like the best con man in the history of France and probably in the world. He did it once before before World War One. He sold the Eiffel Tower for scrap. They showed up, and they all showed up on the same day to come tear it down. And they were so embarrassed they never told anybody. Well, years later, after World War II, of course, Europe is strapped for money right afterwards. The same dude, this is a different set of contractors, he sells it for scrap all over again. People showed up. And if unless I'm mistaken, now they ended up catching him. Yeah, so he wasn't that good. He said at the end of the day, no amount of evidence can shatter a faith consciously based on a lie. No amount of evidence. And he was asked how he did it, and he said, no amount of evidence, no matter what you tell these people, if they are invested, because they were looking at those dollar signs thinking, oh, I'm going to tear this Eiffel Tower down for scrap, not thinking about how ridiculous that was. And, no amount of evidence can shatter a faith consciously based on a lie. How true is that today? How true is that right now? So yeah, as far as some of these other things in permaculture, man, there's so many things we want to do and say. Somebody said check out their website. Oh yeah,
Somebody was asking about info on purchasing comfrey. By the way, y'all, just in general, if you're looking for bone sauce or consultations or comfrey or spoons and bowls, go to our website. If you're looking for something more specific, you can email us at permapasturesfarm@gmail.com or contact us through Instagram. If you're wanting to commission anything or if you're wanting information on whatever. So
we got a couple more questions. Somebody asked something about something in the military.
Mr. Billy, in your opinion, what do the military mandates mean for national security?
Man, they're probably going to cut this feed if I answer that honestly.
Well, go ahead. It's at the end of the feed.
Well, no, I mean, man, I really wish I truly wish we lived in a free country right now. The fact that I have to govern what I'd like to tell you, I would love to tell you the truth, because I do have strong opinions about these things. And all day long, folks, I'm studying. I'm not saying that to brag. It's like I don't even listen to music anymore. I mean, I'm constantly educating myself, even as I work. And I'm trying to be informed as best I can for the benefit of my family and my friends, and a lot of you wonderful folks out there that have become my friends, even through this platform. What that means for national security, it's dreadful. If you want to know my honest opinion, dreadful. Um, I don't have a clever way of.
Speak frankly.
No, I can't. I can't. I mean, there's not a clever way for me to cloak what it is I want to say. I'm just going to say it's dreadful. There's no good thing that unfolds out of this. So yeah, I mean, maybe at another forum, in a free forum, maybe I could talk about these sorts of things. But
Kevin's warning against it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. He says no. I'm just going to leave it there on that subject, folks. I mean, there's a whole lot I want to say, and it is tearing my guts out to not be able to express the full extent of what I know and what I think.
Brighteon?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So we have an account over on Brighteon as well. That's Mike Adams, the Health Rangers set up. So maybe we'll cover some of that stuff over there. But folks, this information isn't that hard to find. Check out the interview Joe Rogan did with Dr. Malone. Check out Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. Check out Dr. Carrie Madday. Check out Judy Mikovits. Check out, this information is easy to find. And probably all those people get me thrown right off of here. Oh, Granny said we need a podcast.
Oh, Granny. Not yet. Not yet.
We got a couple of we got a home to build. We got some.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of stuff, and we got food to prepare. But, folks, once again, prepare. Good night. I mean, I don't.
How much? Well, yeah. Back to that. I meant to ask you that earlier. How many months should they plan for? How many months should they have put back for each person in their household?
Folks, you might want to get to know some Mormons, okay? And that's not just a joke. I mean, actually, they're wonderful people. All the ones I know. I'll tell you what. There may be a whole lot of starving people in this country if ever it jumps when it jumps off. But I can guarantee you this much: the Mormons ain't even gonna. They're gonna be the only community putting on weight, because the Mormons I know, man, they put food back, and they've been doing it for the longest time. Anyway, you can take your cues from them and look at how they do it. Information isn't hard to find, but as far as putting food back, you can go about it a bunch of different ways. Look, you can go get a 50-pound bag of rice at Sam's Club. It's white rice. I mean, it's not the most nutritious. It's not going to be one of the better rices, but you can go get a 50-pound bag for what, $17? You know how many calories is in a 50-pound bag of rice? You can also get beans like this place, Justin, over at Metcalf Mills. Justin, remember that place where we got beans? We're getting 100-pound bags of beans for like $45.
Yeah.
And we just had to go over to South Carolina to go get it. And these are like them highfalutin beans.
Should we say the name?
Yeah, you guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys are in like the Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina area, go to Hayes Food Products. You will have to call in and order and schedule a pickup like ahead of time. So don't just go there and expect to pick anything up. It's a warehouse. They have beans. They have a bunch of varieties.
And they come in 100-pound bags, but
Yep.
you can get them for next to nothing.
$45 for a 100-pound bag of pintos.
Yeah, or any beans, black beans, you name it. But I mean, these are things that are easy to acquire and very, very cheap. And look, if you can't do it by yourself, okay. Over Ben and Denise over at Renewed Homestead did a video on how to seal this stuff up. It is not, you're not fusing DNA here, folks. You can put it in 5-gallon Mylar. In worst case scenarios, you wind up eating it anyway, and then rotating it out. So,
by the way, Caracomp, Hayes isn't like an alternative to Azure. I think they sell like beans to restaurants and stuff like that, but they also sell it to the public. That's all they sell though, is like beans, I'm pretty sure.
Right. If you're dealing with them folks, you're going to deal with some You got some hirelings on that phone, y'all, and they ain't the most helpful people in the
Yeah,
world. But
they're collecting a
hey,
check.
if it meant filling up, yeah, they're in there just collecting the check. And we made a trip all the way down there, just turn back around and come back
Yeah.
because these clowns wanted to not.
Pray before you call. Pray for patience.
Yeah, well, be
Because
mind for those because you get some impatient people put around you. But the point being, at the end of the day, folks, you don't have to go spend tons of money. Oh, another thing, think about putting back some shelf stable fat.
yeah,
That's why we got them guinea hogs up on the hill, y'all. We got a bunch of different kind of pigs for different reasons. We got pigs that we raise for meat, you know. Then we also got pigs we raise for fat. Because the hardest thing to find in nature is fat. And you can raise some awesome shelf stable fat. In fact, on these guinea hogs, that last one we did, I think we pulled off, I bet we got 3 gallons of solid, good back fat off that pig. Now, in terms of survival or whatever the case may be, it doesn't have to be survival, but let's say you're in a bind. Everybody says, well, I got my protein and my carbs. Nobody ever thinks about fat. You get 9 calories per gram for fat, whereas protein and carbs, you get only 4. So that's something you want to think about too. You can get coconut oil. And of course, all that stuff is organic. You can get that stuff down at Sam's for next to nothing.
yeah,
So there's tons of options.
yeah.
Yeah, so think about that, y'all. I know I've kind of beat that dead horse, y'all. Like I said, don't look if you ain't already prepared. Don't buy nothing from us until you get your house in order.
And if nothing else, it makes the beans and rice taste better.
Yes, it does. There is that.
Um,
We'll do a couple more, y'all, and then we'll call it a night. And thanks so much
yeah,
for everybody.
Homestead Jen said, get butter and can it, like canned butter. You can also like clarify it and turn it into ghee if you wanted to as well. Ghee is shelf stable, and I don't know what the shelf life is on that, but Steel Roz said Texas has approximately 2 million wild hogs, and I don't think that population will last long when things get bad.
I don't know, man. That's
I
some
don't know. Yeah.
wily, prolific beasts right there.
Yeah,
Plus, I mean, boy, there ain't much fat on the wild hogs.
yeah, and the first time someone gets that gland, they're not going to be hunting another one.
Well, especially if that's another thing. I keep hearing one of my best friends, Dion, sat there and said to me, "Oh well, things get stupid." I hate 2 responses. I hate when we talk about preparedness is, "A, I'll come to your house." No, you won't. If you come to my house, you better come heavy. Number 2, I'll just go hunting.
What does that mean?
That's always well when people say I'll just go hunting. These are always people that have never been hunting a day in their lives. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know how difficult that can be. And then even if you kill the animal, do you know how to gut and skin it? Do you know how to dress it? Do you know how to preserve that meat? Killing the animal is one thing. I mean, dispassionate is one thing. There is a whole. Anybody with any sense knows, that's where it begins. I mean, you better have some way to do something with it.
Or even with your gardens and stuff like that. The easy part is growing the garden. The
Mm,
hard part is whenever
putting it back.
everything is ready to be harvested all at once and everything is going bad all at once and all that. So that's something a lot of people overlook.
But man, that's
And
just
then also these survival seeds. Don't buy survival
no,
seeds.
no. They're not
Yeah.
adapted to you, your climate. For all you know, they gave you seeds that are good for the Himalayas. I mean,
Yeah.
some of these survival seed companies are cold blooded. But yeah, I mean, folks, I can't stand hearing it from these people. Oh, I'll just go hunting. Have you ever been hunting? Well, no, but how hard could it be? I don't even know. Look, it's hard enough to kill an animal in captivity, much less killing one that's wild that ain't waiting on you. I mean, it's a whole nother experience.
Well, also, yeah, if you're gonna go hunting, let's say you're at the stage of where you're hunting, you're probably at a calorie deficit, so you're low on energy. Now you gotta go. Now you're probably excited you killed the animal. Now you scared it off, and now you gotta go chase it, and then you gotta go haul it back, and
Right.
then you gotta gut and process and all
That's
that
if
stuff.
you even found it. Let's say you
Yeah.
went ahead and got a hold of. Let's say you got a deer, and okay, so you could do the classic mistake. Let's say you got one with a bow. You come down, and you're so excited, you come right down out of that stand. Now you just spooked that deer. You thought he was dead. You just jumped up, and ran another quarter mile. Into what direction? Who knows? Now you got to sit here and track blood. There's a skill to all this. So the people that say, "Oh, I'll just come to your house," that is infuriating to me because that tells me that you're so trifling that you can clearly see that there's a problem on the rise, but you're so trifling. You're not going to do what you know needs to be done, but instead you're going to come here and tax my resources. Like I said, you better come heavy, because yeah, this ain't the place to show up if that's your mindset.
Yeah, that back to we were talking earlier about how everybody demonized comfrey because it did too well and stuff like that. Loria McCrimmon just commented, "If y'all have kudzu, that's edible. That's 14% protein right there. That's good for animal fodder. That's good for you." There was this woman. She was an apprentice to all the greenhouses at the Earthship Academy. She would make a kudzu salad every day. She would basically take it, put it in a plastic bag, muddle it all up, let it sit for 15 minutes, add salad dressing, and then she'd eat it. So kudzu, that's something that's a natural resource of food that a lot of people, especially in the southeast, have that people are trying to eradicate. And it's also a nitrogen fixer. And it helps stop erosion. So there's a lot of benefits to kudzu. It looks like it's taken over a forest, but that's just looking at it from human time scale.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Homestead. Son, I was going to read this. A homesteading pastor and the hacks for the homesteader saying something there. It popped up on the screen, y'all. They keep, they go up on the screen that I'm looking at it on, and I'm about a quarter of the way through, and then the thing disappears on me. So I don't even.
Homesteading pastor said, "People like that, Billy, have no clue what's coming, and most of them don't even believe it's coming." Hacks for the Homesteader said, "Thank you, Billy and William, for the community live session. You guys are great. Love y'all. Take care."
It's always a joy there, y'all. And homesteading pastor's right. These folks. Look, hey, mitigate all that. Read William Forstchen's book 1 second after. You know what? Here's a positive note. If things do jump off, if you can make it 90 days, y'all, you're kind of gonna make it. You dig? That's what you got to try to shoot for. I mean, and I don't know if it's going to get Mad Max up in here, but honestly, at the end of the day, you know, a guy that doesn't take, I don't know what it. I don't ever want to know what it's like to hear my family say to me, "Hold on, Dad, you saw this coming, and you did nothing."
Well, there's only one person that could say that.
No, not really, not
Dad?
really. Well.
Unless there's something I don't know.
No, there's other people out there that look at me as uncle and whatever
Yeah.
else, So,
Yeah.
and to me, I take this role very seriously. And yeah, I kid around and I joke and all that, but I can be very serious about what I'm joking about. So, when you get down to brass tacks, y'all, this is, if there was a theme and a thing that I can't express or can't say enough, y'all, please get your house in order. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. So
Somebody, Teresa McGoffey, maybe, mentioned that kudzu is invasive. It was introduced. It was originally a Japanese plant, I believe. It was introduced, and like a lot of things that are introduced, they kind of take over and stuff like that. But the kudzu it stops erosion, it arrests erosion. You'll notice it's by waterways on steep areas and stuff like that, and it also is a nitrogen fixer. Just you can either harvest it, graze it, or let it be and eventually fix the soil. It's working outside of human time limits.
All right. With
So,
that
yeah.
said, y'all. Hey, somebody else also said. I'll say this, and then we'll go ahead and close it down for tonight. Another person said, and I should have said this. He said, "Get your spiritual house in order too, y'all." At the end of the day, I mean, what's more important than that? And like I said, if I've learned anything over these last couple of years, it's, oh my goodness, man, this we wrestle not with flesh and blood, y'all. You know where I'm going with that. So anyway, blessings to all of you and yours. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Need anything, let us know. Anything we can possibly help with, we're glad to do it.
Email us at permapasturesfarm@gmail.com. Contact us through Instagram. It's permapasturesfarm. The comment sections are always open on the videos and stuff like that too.
Thank you for the love, y'all. And we'll try to do these things a little more regularly than we have. We've just been up to our neck with so many different things right now. So blessings to you and yours, everybody. Y'all take care.